I welcome all to this program. We can enjoy. On behalf of you, I welcome Shri Anand for participating in this program. We can have a comfortable discussion across the questions so that learning, changing the ideas, that will be good, will be interesting. So here the method is that those who want to discuss with him or ask the question, we have to just raise the hands. There is an option available there, simple concept. Okay? So we can use that option. So that gives an indication to us, and then by which we give the clearance or say we go to the mic so that we can talk. So everybody listens up. So what is more important here is that we need to ask the question so that time will as it was going in the past. So I welcome you all for this program and raise the question on this occasion.
Yeah, correct. I think more than just reading this concept or going through the videos, this is more of a practical experiment or something that you need to test it out within your own self. That's how it will be more beneficial. So because whatever Aya has given in his books and videos, the truth is not something which you can just read it, and by heart it or something like that, because you have to imbibe, you have to, really test it out and see it for your own self, like, whether it is really working for you and all. So then, once you understand that by your own self, then you will not need any direction, because then you yourself will know what is happening inside. So that way, I think you can ask all your questions. Even don't worry whether it is silly or complex or whatever. So please feel free to discuss or even give your comments, whatever. So hope
just for a moment, just for a moment, I'll ask Lakshmi, okay, yeah. So that this audibility is good.
Yeah.
Okay? I just unmute because now it is standardized. Yeah. Yeah, Lakshmi, you can tell me Anand audio is
much good? Better, sir. Very good.
Good, good, no?
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
So he has changed the instrument. That
yes.
Previously it was shaking, no? Because of the emotion, hands were shaking. We could see that up here. So now he has locked in by himself.
Yes. Okay. She is like Muthulakshmi is the ISO standard for us. So if she says okay, then.
Sir, I gave him the suggestion to change over to this headphone. So I'm happy that he took it over.
He took over the Wi-Fi one is the good. I have taken the plug one and then 2-pin single pin problem.
Yeah.
Good. So okay, I'm muting you.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Since there are no questions coming up, I will start the zero.
Sure.
Okay. Confidence becomes an important aspect in the life. If confidence is there, we will be able to succeed the many aspects of the difficulties. Confidence alone is there. Okay. Is it an emotion? How does it come up from? Can we increase our confidence? I want to answer for this question.
Okay, sure. So I think confidence is more of, I see it as a comfort feeling that you will be able to achieve this. I mean, if you have some target, you feel that based on certain parameters that you decide, you feel that you will be able to achieve that target. The probability of achieving the target is more. So that way you feel better based on some factors that you decide, because it varies between individuals. So I think it's more of an external factor, not an emotion, but it is more of a arrangement, the external arrangement based on that, and whatever we consider as favorable for achieving our target. So we consider those as complementary, or which is aiding our confidence or boosting our confidence. So to some extent, I think we should more rely on our intelligence for the external actions, any external actions that we want to take. Because if we rely on our intelligence and do the right thing, then I think the probability of success will be more. So I think that will be a better choice, I would say.
So in reality life, we feel that confidence is more important doing the thing. Also, it is not sound so.
So I think if you're not able to, I mean, if one understands this, the way of this functioning of this mind, the thoughts and thinking, then the importance of that, you don't have to give too much importance to that, because you will only be able, you can simply rely on your intelligence and understand what is the right action to do for the situation, and then proceed with it, because that will be a wiser approach rather than just depending on some arrangements, because confidence again will be based on your own conditioning. See, if you may have certain set parameters that if these 1, 2, 3 things happen, then I will feel confident. Maybe if those 1, 2, 3 things doesn't happen, then I will feel uh, lack of confidence. So it depends on our own judgment. So rather than that, we can simply rely on our intelligence and the right action that is required. So I think that will be more a wiser approach. Though I mean, definitely.
I got some small practical situation where this confidence and intellect, I have to understand what it is. Okay, say I have to move from one place to another place. Say it is a late night time where traffic is not there, nobody is there, a little dark kind of. Intelligence, the road, everything is known to me. Even by blindfolding, I will be able to reach properly. So intelligence does not play any role. There, what happens is only the confidence gives me the hope to reach there properly. How does it behave? Does it differ?
So when you say you're talking about driving in the road during night.
Yeah, even by walking also you can take a short distance.
Okay, so what is the question?
There, the intellect knows the road. There is nothing to be found out by the intellect.
Correct.
The path, everything is known.
Correct.
But based on the confidence of reaching that place, we will be very safe.
Correct.
If we are not confident, we will not be very safe. So where does that difference come? See, according to your previous statement, intellect plays a game. But here there is no game for intellect. Only confidence has got.
Yeah. So based on our intellect, so intellect makes a decision whether, for example, I think Aya used to state this example, right? Suppose you are going through a road and you see a crowded place. And if you feel that, if you have the curiosity to look into it and to find out what is happening there, then you will have the energy. Once you make the decision that you want to go and look at it, whatever may happen. So if you decided, make the decision, then you will obviously go towards that and try to find out and try to see, venture it out and explore that. But if you feel that same time, if you feel that there is something which is fishy, and some people who are kind of not so favorable situation, if you feel that it's not a very favorable situation, then you will feel little worried or will have some kind of a fearsome feeling in you. So then you will try to, once you make that decision, once you have decided that it is going to be it's going to be a problematic situation, then that fear will arise. If you feel that there is something to explore, then that energy for exploring that situation will arise. So depending on your decision, if you feel that fearful situation, then obviously you will try to move away and do something. So that decision is made by the intelligence. That's then the energy drives towards the subsequent steps.
It is clear.
Yeah.
Some friends are waiting there now.
Yeah.
Sanjay Srivastava has come up. He has come from Bikaner, Rajasthan.
Yes.
Yes.
Namaskar, Anand ji.
Hi.
Hi. When you say that you can test these concepts in your actual life, in your practical life, what exactly do you mean? How do I actually test it in my life?
Okay, good question. So, I mean, if you have to put it simply, first of all, the whole core message of this concept that we call as Pravagam is what is that? It is very simple. One is there are two portions that we are saying, right, in our mind. One is the thoughts which come on its own. All these thoughts, emotions, feeling, whatever name you give, all these come on their own, right? There is an automatic function, involuntary act which is happening inside. So this we don't have, you cannot disturb, you don't have any control over it. So if you take a responsibility to correct it, then you will be only, you have to face that failure, you have to only face the disappointment. That is where the conflict occurs. You're trying to correct something which is not under your control, right? So that is where the problem. But there is another portion which is thinking, which we call as thinking. That is, there you have a good amount of control, because you can plan, you can think and do your actions. That is more related to your external actions. So this thinking, but we have to use this mind only for thinking also. But thinking is about external actions. You're not thinking about how to be peaceful, how to be calm, how to be happy, how to be blissful. So that is again internal. So you cannot do that. So internally, you don't have any target to achieve. You cannot think about doing anything internally in the psychological sense. Whereas in the external world activities, you have to think, plan, use your intelligence and do that. That's the whole concept, right? So now how to test it out is, what I mean to say that is, don't just simply accept this as a concept that somebody is just giving this message and try to use that. You first of all try to see whether it is really, are you able to really see this truth within you? Because that's when you are seeking will stop. Otherwise you will keep on trying to somehow shape up. I mean, you may say that you may say that you've understood, but you may try to still shape up the mind, or try to take your mind into control, take your emotions and thoughts into control. Maybe indirectly trying to do that. So that's why I was suggesting that if you see this happening in your system for your own, then there is nobody has to tell you that, right? Because as I explained the other day, it is like a scientific phenomenon. Suppose, as I said, the natural phenomenon is what you're trying to correct. That is where the clash is happening, and that is where the conflicts, friction, everything arises. So if you throw a ball up in the air and expect it to fly, which is against the nature, right? But your expectation is that it should fly, but every time it falls down, so you are disappointed, you are in conflict with what is happening. But once you understand that this is the nature and there is no problem also, even if it falls down the ground on the ground, there is no problem, because we are not impacted. As I said, that these thoughts and emotions are anyway going to subside. You don't have to take responsibility, you don't have to drive it away or push it away from your system, because that's anyway going to go away in the next moment. So without understanding this, if you're trying to fight it out and trying to shape this and bring it under our control, then that's where the conflict arises. We are continuously in struggle and conflict and restlessness and all that happens. So this, if you see it for yourself in your system, by questioning and by trying to ponder over, whatever we are talking about, by reading these books or whatever is mentioned in the books and videos, if you try to ponder over and test it out for yourself, then you will be able to come out, you will be able to also enjoy the psychological freedom. That's my point.
I find like more of my problems are in the external world. I mean, this friction and problems which I face, they are more in the external world. Not that I'm trying to be peaceful or happy all the time, but there are situations outside that disturb.
Yeah. So we spoke about this last time, I think. So external world, yes, there are problems. Everybody has problems. Say, for example, you can just consider the situation. Even if you're completely shut down your external world, say you are just sitting in Himalayas for 3 months, whatever, somewhere, completely isolated, but our mind will still be disturbed. You will still be seeking for something. You will still be seeking for something, peaceful, some happiness, still be seeking for some blissful moment. So all that struggle and conflict will still be going inside, even if you shut down the external world completely. But of course, external world problems are there. That is for everybody has certain problems. But once you understand, because the struggle is more here, it is not the external world. Because two people, we discussed last time as well, same external situation, two people handle it in two different ways, right? One considered it as a total loss of life. He's even trying to end his life, going for suicidal actions and all that. But whereas the other one takes it as a minor step back, as a minor failure, and moves forward, takes it forward. So there is a difference, even though the external situation is same, the approach differs. So the problem is, how do we understand it here? So that is where the actual problem, though it appears to be the problem is outside in the external world, that is relatively easier to handle. Here, this is where we are getting stuck, and this is where we do not know how to handle. So once you understand how to handle here inside, then you'll be absolutely free. External world is what finally to handle a problem, you need knowledge, right? You need knowledge and how to handle, because everybody will have the same options, whether it is you or me. We will have the same set of, for a typical problem, you will have only those 4 or 5 choices to look at. So I will also have those 4 or 5 choices only. It's just that what choice we make, how do we use our intelligence, how do we take our help from our friends or well-wishers or other seniors, etc. So that is possible in the external activity, right? Whereas here, I have to face it alone, all my emotions, thoughts, restlessness, anger, fear, etc. So if you know how to handle the system, because external situation, another thing is, external situation is something that we have created. It's an artificial thing. But we have been living with this system from our birth. So, but we do not know how to operate this system. So if we understand this, everything else will be easier to handle. That's why we say that.
Yeah, I think I get that point. The thing that I find more troublesome is that in the external world, like I have 3, 4 options. I want to choose option A, but I'm compelled to choose option B. So that creates more of a friction.
Yeah. So that's what. So those are the options available. Out of that, you have a choice. That's all. You cannot choose beyond
Yes,
that.
I have a choice, but I am not, due to some circumstances or due to some compulsion, the choice which I think is correct, that I am not able to follow. So that's where the friction is there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That compulsion will be there for everybody. The external world, you cannot be always perfect. You cannot expect a fair, complete, a perfect external world situation. So nobody will be able to get to that. So external world will always be ups and downs because things are changing continuously, and a lot of all these competitive environment. And finally, it's an artificial system, right, that we have created. So we have to agree. It is all based on our own agreement that we have created some rules and how to act in a certain situation, all that. So we have to go by those rules and act. So that's the only way. But the problem is you are feeling that hurt or you were feeling that disappointment more here. That's what I'm trying to say. It is not about the external world, though that is triggering these emotions. But the problem is here. If you're able to understand this system better, then you'll be able to handle it very easily.
And as you said, like even if you are in Himalayas, you will be having some dissatisfaction for getting something more peaceful, or that that dissatisfaction is always there. So, but that dissatisfaction is also natural. It is coming out that dissatisfaction with the what is present. That is also comes up naturally.
Yeah. So why I gave that comparison or example is that you were saying that external world is creating all the problems. So I was just trying to suggest that though external world is creating some problems, but that is more of it is only triggering those emotions. The problem is more here is what I was, just to give that comparison, I was saying that even though if you shut off the external world, problems will still continue here. So it is not external world alone is triggering the problems. The trigger point is here. It is just if I have to say, probably the bulb or the electricity is here. External world is just a switch. You're just switching on and the bulb glows here, switching off and bulb switches off here. So the center CPU is here. They are just the sensory organs or the peripherals, I can say. It's just collecting the information and giving it here, because mind is the only window, right? If you shut off your eyes, and if you suppose simply if you shut off your eyes also, you will not be able to see the external world, right? And same way, if you shut off your mind, for example, you are in a meditative state, you're not able to suppose you are completely in a meditated still state, for example, just for an example, then you will not be able to see or understand what is happening outside, right? So mind acts as the window. If this is shut off, everything else is shuts off. So that way, this is the window that through which you experience everything, whatever is happening in the external world. So that is why we are saying this is like the CPU. So this is where first you need to focus. Once you understand this, then obviously you can focus on the external world and see what are the possibilities available.
And as you say that some thoughts, means thoughts are not in our control and emotions are not in our control. Though I think that some caveat should be there that some thoughts are in our control, which you call as thinking.
Correct.
I think some feelings are also in our control, not exactly fully in our control, but you can definitely have some control. Like if you are very anxious, you can start watching your breath, so you can be peaceful for some time. So it is not exactly that feelings are also not in your control. Some control is there. But I agree to this that by and large, very large portion of our thoughts and emotions, they are not in our control.
Yeah. So as you
But
said,
that is one thing that that is probably that is known to everyone who, but that doesn't bring enlightenment to everyone. I mean, there is a very famous couplet by Urdu poet Mirza Ghalib where he says that all these thoughts come to me from some mysterious space, and my pen is moved by angels. So I mean, this is not something new. Everybody knows that thoughts and emotions, a very large part of thoughts and emotions, they are not in our control. And then teaching says that this understanding is intellectual. So I think that intellectual understanding is clear that thoughts and emotions, a very substantial part of thoughts and emotions, is not in anybody's control. But that doesn't bring any
Sanjay, your net is affected. I think Sanjay net is affected.
got disconnected, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, Sanjay, you are there.
yeah, I am here.
Oh, okay, because your voice was not audible. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah. Okay. So Sanjay, let us look at it like this. So what do you think is see, enlightenment? I mean, you can look at it in different ways. It is just a word, right? So finally, it is the end of all our problems. We are trying to end all our problems. We are trying to seek some solution to all our problems, right? So the solution is this. And what is the problem exactly? What do you think is the problem? Leave alone the external situation. Forget about that for a moment. Logical thing. We always, feeling, I mean, we don't want to be worried. We don't want to be angry. We don't want to be, jealous, hatred, all these negative emotions. These are the problem, right? Negative thoughts or negative emotions.
The problem is satisfied in this present moment.
That's
Whatever
what, not dissatisfaction.
I want something different.
Yeah. So that's what restlessness, dissatisfaction, whatever you can call, lack of peace, lack of fulfillment, lack of, all that. That's what is our problem, right? Nobody has a problem. Nobody has a problem with all the positive feelings, blissfulness, happiness, happy moment, pleasant. Nobody has any problem with that. We don't even have to deal with that. We are all happy about that, right? We can remove that. So what is left with? What are we left with? We only have problem with all the negative things that you said: restlessness, dissatisfaction, lack of peace, seeking something like, you're feeling that you're lacking something. What are all these? These are all some form of thoughts or emotions or feelings, whatever you can call. All these are, see, these three, I mean, negative things, nobody wants to welcome, or nobody would, if you have a choice, I do not want a negative feeling or a negative emotions. If I have the choice, I will definitely not expect that, right? Nobody will do that. If I have a choice and if I have the control, I will not look for a negative emotion or a negative situation or negative thought, right? So what that means, that it obviously means that it is definitely not under my control. In spite of, I am trying to keep my mind calm and peaceful and satisfactory, fulfillment, etc. It happens. So that is why we say that it is not under our control. But the problem is, in spite of knowing that, you said everybody knows that, you said, right? Yes, in spite of knowing that, We are trying to fight it out and we are trying to find the solution to that, right? So that is where we are saying that there is no solution needed. If you simply, the water example, we saw that, right? If you just simply take your hand off from this, those waves and ripples will settle down on its own, because that is its nature. Moment something happens, it will create some disturbance. That is the function of our mind. So imagine if your mind stops creating any disturbance, it's like a coma, right? You are in coma. Even you must have seen in that ECG graph. So natural mind means there will be ups and downs. Everything should happen. That is the function of the mind. If it is still, then it means that person is dead. There is no life in that. So that's the nature of this mind. The function of this mind is to keep on giving all the options. It gives so many options every moment, depending on the external situation. So we don't have to be worried. We don't have to question as to why are you giving so many options. And, I'm bothered and, I'm tired of looking at so many options. No, we don't have to say that. That's why we are saying you don't have to keep on looking at every option. Only if there is a need, a requirement, you can take that option. Otherwise, you can just let it flow. It will not even bother you. But the problem is we think that we have to handle each and every option, each and every thought that comes into our mind. We think that we take ownership and we think that I have to handle this somehow. That's the problem everybody has. So without understanding that, they get stuck into this same thing again and again. Once you understand, then you will step back, right? Once you step back, things will flow very smoothly on its own. That's what we are trying to say. Hope I clarified.
Yeah, sure. And one more thing, just I want to. This thoughts and emotions, I can understand that it depend upon, they are not in your control. What about that conscious thought? Because sometimes I feel that even conscious thought, what I call conscious, is contingent upon the other things. It is not exactly my own free will, because given my genetic material and given my experiences, given my education, given my background, anyone else would have thought the same thing. So in that sense, even what I call as conscious thought, that also doesn't seem like it is a free thought. It also seems that it is also popping up.
Yeah. You don't have to make it complex, to understand. That is just for understanding, to understand what is thought and thinking. Whatever is not in your hand, you're saying, even if a conscious thought is coming in spite of you wanted to do it in some way, but in spite of that, you're expecting some form of a thought, but something else comes out, right? Which means it is not in your hand. It's just a bucket, right? We're just putting it in two different buckets. That's all. You can put that in the thought bucket. That's all. If it is not happening as per
no such line where thought ends and thinking begins.
So basically, thinking is meant for primarily for external actions. Because why I'm saying that is, you're not going to, once you understand this concept, what we are saying is you don't have to think about your mind, to think about how to correct your mind, how to fine tune your mind, how to shape up your mind, how to bring your mind under control. All these things are not needed, is what we are saying, right? So which means what is left? What else is left? Only external actions. Your thinking should be only for external actions. You don't have to think about your own mind, this tool. You can only use this tool to think about something else in the external world and use that for your external actions, for betterment of your external activities. So
and
whatever you think, yeah.
And for choosing external options, don't I have to take into consideration my own feelings?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you feel, for example, feelings means anger is one type of feeling, right? So suppose if I have to manage the situation in the external world, I have some 10 people working under me. If I can use that anger feeling also, because only if I express that, and maybe in some situations, wherever required, I'm saying, if I express that, and I can express that and tell them that they have to do their work in a proper way, right? They don't have to subside wherever it is required. Sometimes if you have to show that anger, you can also use that, or sometimes fear. We can also use that fear for your support. You can use that for example, I used to quote this example very often. Suppose you're walking in the dark, in a garden or some hilly farm area, right? You're walking in the dark, there is no light. So you will obviously, some fear will be there, right? There may be some snakes or some insects around. So using that fear, what fear will drive you to do some action, which is you can take a torchlight or a stick in your hand. So that is what is driving this action, right? So you can use that fear or all these anger, everything for your external actions if it is beneficial for you. But you don't have to worry about how do I correct this fear? How do I make sure that this fear doesn't come next time? How do I make sure that this anger doesn't come next time? So all these are not required. That is towards the psychological. So you're turning the focus to this side now. If you're talking about I should not have fear, I should not have anger, then you're turning the focus here. That is not required. Your focus should be on the external side, external actions. So for doing your external actions in a better way, you can use whatever tools you have, whether it is thought, thinking, whatever you call. This is the name that we give, right? Whatever you want to do for your external actions, you can always do that. Only thing is, don't turn that focus into inside and start creating demands and try to say that I should be happy, I should be peaceful, and all those. Don't put all those demands here. That's the only problem.
And if that demand comes up?
Yeah, demand is also another form of thought, right? Same thing. If that demand comes up, let it come. Leave that also, because it is coming in spite of you think that you should not have those demands, but in spite of that, it comes up, which means it is not under our control. So whatever is not under our control, you can simply ignore. You don't have to take responsibility. If you take the responsibility, then only the problem arises, because then you will be in conflict with that, conflict with whatever is happening at that moment. You will always be in continuous conflict if you start going against the nature. Is that clear?
Yeah, I think I've taken what you're saying.
Okay, Sanjay, again you come back, then I will
Sure.
take up. I will give opportunity to others also now. Anyway, it was nice, interesting discussion with
Yeah.
Sanjay. I'm meeting you now. Or you're yourself on mute. That is great. Venkatesan from Nigeria has been waiting. Giving an unmute. Yes, Venkatesan.
Good evening, Aya. Anand Aya.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. When I was hearing all the discussion, I just pop up one question to ask. See what Mr. Sanjay was telling that about the external world action and internal psychology also. That internal psychological aspect, we cannot fight with that one. So that much is very clear. Understanding is here. But when we talk about the external world action, like we can use the word action. Action means nothing but a physical action. We plan to do something intellectually and then act in physically. Now, my question is that what is the difference between intelligence and intellect? Because when we look at it, my understanding, what I'm sharing to you, when we look at the body, see the body is running at its own intelligence, and it cannot be touched by our intellect. If anybody in the world, any human being, nobody can touch the body intelligence, which is already inherent in our body. So that much is very clear on the body aspect. But when we come with the external world, so now there is that's why I'm asking, that is where the intellect and intelligence is there. Is there any intelligence which our mind possesses, that our action will be always in our situation, it can be a perfect action? Okay. That if you go on, let me finish this one also. If I go on by like suggestion, what Mr. Sanjay was telling, that everybody has the options. Mind gives options, different options. When we then mind gives lot of options, there we stuck that which we have to choose. So in that situation, is there anything called intelligence? Because body has intelligence. There is no doubt on that. As far as this I am concerned, I am very clear on that. For external world, is there anything intelligence called intelligence apart from the intelligence?
Okay, thanks. So first of all, intelligence and intellect, it is just, I think, going by just the simple English meaning. Intellect is more of a, it's like a noun, whereas this is referring to the quality. Intelligence is like a quality, right? A quality or kind of a quality that we talk about, right? The quality of intellect is intelligence. So it is almost, it is referring to the same. There is no difference. And when you said external world intelligence, yes, we can use that definitely, based on the knowledge that we've gathered, as we just explained. Based on the knowledge that we gathered, or we can take help from others also. We can borrow others' knowledge also here. That's the beauty of getting into the external actions, right? You can take help from your seniors, your subordinates, your peers, and anybody else. But the only thing to keep in mind is don't expect that you will always be perfect in the external world, because there is nothing like that. Because this is a competitive world, and just because you understood this mind, just because you understood the psychology of how our system works, it doesn't mean that you will be always successful in the external world, because it's a different parameter in the external world. You only understood here and you've freed up, you've got free. It's nothing like, it's something like you've always been carrying a baggage of all these emotions and feelings. Say, assume that you're carrying some 50 kg of weight on your shoulders every day, every moment, and you still continue to work, engage in your work. That will be really painful, right? You're always carrying this 50 kg bag, emotional baggage. So what we are doing now is, once you understand this psychological system, you are freed here. You're dropping the baggage, right? That's all you're doing. So now you're free. You're free to do your external work. But that doesn't mean that once you drop your baggage, you cannot be 100% successful in the external world. The only thing is, your energy is freed up. Your all your focus, everything is freed up. Now you have better opportunity to work in the external world. You have better opportunity to be successful, to be more efficient in the external world. All that is definitely there, but there is no guarantee that you will be 100% successful, because it depends on your capability, on your situation, and also about the how others are involved, how, because there will be so many people who will be competing for the same thing. So many things are there, so many parameters are involved there.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that when we come to here, there are two aspects. One is the about external world. We always interact with a human being. There is no doubt on that. The moment we are wake up till the evening, go to sleep, definitely there is a interaction we have to do. So in that case, when comes a technical aspect, there is no doubt. As you said, when we have a technically sound, like people used to call technically sound. So as I am working in a technical field, so when I am not know anything, so I have to borrow the knowledge from others. There is no shame on that. We can take it other knowledge and then do job. But when we go about the relationship, there also we face a lot of we cannot use our practical technical knowledge there. So there other kind of things understanding is must. So that is where I am very concerned.
Understand. So knowledge need not be technical alone, right? Knowledge can be in the form of experience. Suppose I'm, for example, if I'm, or your father or your elders, right? They must have seen the world, seen different situations in different forms, different various probabilities and all that. They must have gone through all these situations already, right? So they can, from their experience, they can suggest you, they can give you advice. So that's also a kind of knowledge only. It's not that only the technical knowledge or bookish knowledge is the only knowledge, right? It's also based on the experience and how they've come across various situations in their life. So all that also you can take. There's nothing wrong in it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but I have understood, come across with this challenge is always a new. When we come to the practical world, challenge is not a old challenge. It's always coming at the old challenge. Sorry, new challenge. Yeah. So when we come to the new challenge, we always back up with the old information and then try to solve it. But is it possible that without taking the knowledge which is old, because is there anything that we act with intelligence? That is where I am concerned here.
Yeah. See, again, just a name. Finally, all this is just a name that we're giving, right? Yes. Knowledge means you're saying without taking the old knowledge means you're talking about that's a wrong knowledge, right? Which is something, if you're taking the old one, which is not suitable for the current situation, which means you're taking the wrong knowledge. That's not the right knowledge, which means that's not knowledge at all, actually. So what I am talking about, what knowledge which we are referring to, is the right knowledge, which is suitable for the situation. You have to apply the right experience or right knowledge is what you need to take. If it is wrong, then which means it is very clear that it is suitable, it is not suitable for that situation, then you have to ignore that. Whatever is right, suitable for that situation, only that you can consider. So that's what we can call it as knowledge, right?
Okay, yeah. You are saying that point, you are saying that then there is a choice is coming, yeah. Because you are saying that there is a choice is coming. So we have to be alert to choose that what kind of action we can take, right action. That is where that is also coming here.
Yeah. You have to be alert in the sense, I think probably you will understand that by yourself. because once you close this whole thing, emotional part of it and the psychological thing, then whatever you left with is only the external action, external world.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you don't have to be alert, because we are just asking you to use your common sense, right? If there is a situation, I think the other day also we were explaining, right? A simple logic we can use is, whatever you expect others, however you expect others to treat you,
Yes.
you should also treat others the same way, right? That's the simple
Yes.
common sense. So automatically you will naturally start responding that way. You don't need to be alert, in the sense you don't need to torture yourself and trying to see whether am I doing the correct action or not. So not that way, but you will have an overall guidance, a guideline that you yourself you already have, is what I'm saying. But you think that you don't have, but already everybody has that common sense. Whatever is
Yes.
right for the situation, you will obviously try to do that. If you simply apply that, that's enough. That's more than enough.
Okay. Yeah. Then
Yeah.
this question for long I was thinking to ask you. What is mean by death? Yeah.
Death.
Actually, death, because things are coming in my mind. Then see, physically, I am looking at the world. People are dying. There is no in this, particularly if you see the coronavirus. So if people are dying, people use the word called death. So people are dying. But I feel that it is beyond, something is there that is physically just a death is nothing but only a physical organisms. Because I was going through one human being called Anita Murjani. So there is very critically, very categorically mentioned integration and disintegration. So our body goes disintegrate. So then in that case, definitely there is no option that death is going to happen. So what is the real sense of death, Aya, then?
Okay. I think we don't have to complicate this. Real sense of
I'm
death,
not
as we,
complicating it.
yeah,
Just
I'm just,
understand.
I understand. I'm just saying for a easier understanding, we all know what is death, so we can consider that as when the body ceases to exist, or the energy, whatever flowing in the body, when it ceases to exist and the body functions stop, we call it as death. Of course, there are so many theories in the back end, like we're talking about astral body and mind functioning even after death and all that. But the problem is, all these are, we don't have any scientific proof.
Yes, yes,
Rebirth,
yes.
next birth, and all these things, nobody can prove it scientifically. So we are all there is a logical guess we can do, that yes, this is how it should be, this is how it should work. It's more of a logical guess. There is no scientific proof here. We cannot see and experience it ourselves. That's the problem. So you can only consider this as a logical guess, that's all. So whatever is the right guess, or however, whichever logic that suits you for your external action, you can take that, because this is not going to any way help. Because
Yes,
we can keep on debating about this, because there is
yes,
no proof, right? We can endlessly debate. I will say a theory, somebody else will give some other theory. We can keep on debating and discussing that. There will be no end to that. So instead
yes.
of getting into that, our problem is more here, psychological. If you understand this system, then all your problems will be solved. Then you will not have any questions to even ask. So
Yeah, yes, sir.
that's how.
That's why I'm also thinking sometime, why I'm getting a lot of questions. Automatically it is coming. Think to ask Aya and you and then Aya also. So sometime it where it come from, sir? Because I'm not getting clear on this particular concept or understanding. That's why
Yeah.
sometimes what you said, I'm not very clear on this psychological. That much very clear. Aya, the psychological effect, thought and emotion. We cannot fight with that. Because very clearly, I mean, whenever I'm sitting in alone, thought comes, and then sometimes if I see something, the emotion comes and goes. That is very clearly is there. But this understanding is why I'm not very clearly. Is there anything I'm lacking? That
Yeah.
is there?
Okay. Yeah. So I think the problem is, you're able to intellectually understand what we are saying, which is, what are we saying here? Thoughts, emotions are not under our control. Whatever is the situation, it will trigger something. So when you're saying you have this question or doubt, whatever you're asking, what is this question or doubt? That's again another form of thought, right? So that is why we are saying you cannot question why it is happening to me. Why is this coming here? You cannot question that. We are saying this is not under control. So the problem that you have is probably you are able to accept that. You are able to just simply accept those words. Just simply you are accepting at a theoretical level, but inside, in the back end, you are again creating an action So basically you are saying that once I understand, all my problems should stop, all my questions should stop, all my doubts should stop. So that's again, you're again putting back one another demand, right? You're just again doing a backdoor entry again, right? So that is again in conflict with what you have understood. What we are saying is you cannot question this mind, you cannot question, you cannot try to take this under control. If you're asking why is this question coming means, then you are questioning the mind. You're asking why is this like that, why can't it be like this, why can't we correct this, is what you're trying to ask indirectly, which is in conflict with the concept itself. So that is why it will not work that way.
Okay.
You have to simply accept, right? Because I think a lot of people, maybe I'll just take 2 minutes and explain that. A lot of people have this misconception. I think there are other philosophies also which talks about accepting being in the present, accepting the now and all that. So people have a misconception that this acceptance and being in the present is sometime in the future, once all my mind settles down, once I'm completely peaceful, clear, that is to happen sometime in the future is what people think. But it is not so. It is right at this moment, however bad, however ugly, however vulgar, however bad your thoughts and emotions and the status of your mind is, completely accept right this moment, right this moment, not even the next minute. If you are able to understand and simply drop all these conditions and questions, etc., if you're able to, by means of understanding the system, then that is what is being in the now. That is what is total acceptance. It is not sometime in the future that you do this action, that you do, come to this acceptance, state of acceptance. It is right this moment.
Okay, yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganeshan, for your participation. I am muting you. Yeah, you finish your. Prem Kumar from Chidambaram has come out. I am giving unmute to Prem Kumar. He will talk to you.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
So first of all, thank you for the program. I can able to understand the concept, whatever you are trying to say before in a very detailed way, I can understand. Means handling of, we can't handle the thoughts. Only thinking is our work. We have to work on only thinking. So here you talk about the intellect. Means that is the only parameter which will decide from the thought to thinking. Am I right, sir?
Okay, intellect is not a parameter to decide, because what we are saying is this understanding, understanding that we call psychological understanding, is that all these emotions and thoughts are not under our control. If something is not under my control, then the right thing to do is not take responsibility for that, right? Suppose, just to give an example, if I want to choose the prime minister of this country that I'm living in for India, then at least I have some bit of control. Though I don't have any control, but at least you can do your responsibility. You can try to do whatever is possible from your side. But if you want to change the prime minister or president of America, it is not under your control. Then you cannot take that responsibility, right?
Yes.
That's what we are saying. It is something similar to that. All these thoughts and emotions that are appearing in us, they are not under your control. Even if you want to change that, you cannot change. So if you cannot change something, if you cannot take something under your control, then you cannot be responsible for that, right? So drop that responsibility.
Yes, understand, sir. Understand that. I understand very clear, sir. We are nowhere responsible for thoughts.
Correct.
Only for doing our external activity, we are using these thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, for doing this external activity, there are, for example, I will just tell you, there are two things I have to do. It's very important for me. One is I have to do my study. Another one is to concentrate on my job. These two things are important. So right now, two thoughts are coming, like now you study or now you do work. So where I have to give the importance, means in this two, which I should give the priority, that picking up in the two, I have to understand that both are important, but between this, which is important, that intellect kind of choosing the thought to thinking, I'm confused now.
Okay. So I think thinking is, as I just explained to other participants as well, that this is only to understand. We are just trying to, it is like a You must have seen cricket matches, right? If
Yes,
if there is a wicket, fall of wicket, then there will be a slow motion to analyze whether the ball really touched this bat or not, and things
yes,
like that,
yes,
right?
yes,
It's like
yes.
slow motion. So slow motion, this is like that actually. We are trying to analyze what is thought, what is thinking, what happens here, intellect comes here and all. But in reality,
Okay,
you will just be
okay,
swift,
sir.
it will be very fast. You will simply be acting. We are just
Yes,
only
sir.
trying to analyze. You don't have to keep
Okay,
this in mind always, that whether I'm thinking now or I'm in thought or what is happening. So all those are not required.
okay, okay,
Because thought
okay,
portion, because this you can simply close it. There is no entry. You can put a no entry board here. You don't have to worry about
okay, sir.
anything here. All your focus is external action, 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 action. That's all you have. For that
Okay,
action,
okay,
you will naturally respond with your thinking. You don't have to think, you don't have to worry about, am I thinking for external action or not? Not required. Because that's what
okay,
will be
okay.
your natural response, right? Use your common
I
sense,
understand.
you will naturally respond to an external situation. So that is
Okay, okay, sir.
more than sufficient.
Fine,
But
fine,
as you
fine.
said, only point for your this thing is whether this is important, that is important, and all that
Yes, yes.
situation. Yeah, that's a common situation for everyone, right? We have to use our
Okay.
intelligence and see what is
Yes,
more priority and all that. As I said, you
yes.
can take advice from others who have gone through these situations. That is the only
Okay, sir.
option we have. We can borrow
Okay, okay,
knowledge
okay.
and advice from
Fine,
others.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Sir, and the last question, sir.
Yeah.
The term called fear.
Yeah.
For example, if we don't know something, then the parameter fear is coming in our body. Am I right, sir?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if I'm trying to do something new, that fear suppress me to do, not allow me to do the new things. But I like to do that work. But this fear tells me that you are not capable, or it suppress me to not go to do that new things.
Yeah. Correct. So fear is all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, continue, continue. Sir.
Yeah. So fear is always about losing something, right? You have something or you want to gain something and you're worried or you're fear of losing that. That's what stops you from. You want to take some risk, as you said. You want to take some,
Yes,
try something
yes,
new. You want to take some risk, but there is a
yes, sir.
fear of losing. That's the only thing which
Yes.
stops you. Said.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one approach. But there is also another approach, another angle to the same fear.
Okay.
A very good example is like if you're driving in a car, there is an
Okay.
accelerator and brake, right? You can
Yeah,
equate
yeah.
this brake. Brake is something which is stopping, which is halting your journey, right?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That is equivalent to fear. Accelerator is
Yes.
something which is speeding up your journey.
Yeah,
That is something like a positive emotion. You can
Yes,
consider some positive
yes,
emotion.
yes, sir.
But,
Yes.
but if you really see this, you're able to go at 100, 120 kilometers per hour only because
Okay.
of the confidence that they have on your brake, right?
Yeah,
If you don't
exactly.
have a confidence, then you will be always careful. You will be always careful. You will be drive only in 40 kilometers because you
Yes,
never
sir.
know
Yes, sir.
when your brakes will
Yeah, yeah,
fail or something, right? So
yeah.
this fear is
Exactly.
also like that, because if you try,
Okay.
you should always try something new, take risks. That is all fine, but you should also on
Okay,
the
sir.
back of your mind understand the
Okay.
repercussions of what happens if it fails. You should be able to you should be prepared for that, right? You should
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you should plan for the risk mitigation. We call it in the
Okay.
corporate
Okay.
language, right? So that is the
Yes,
function
sir.
of fear here. Using this fear,
Okay.
you can handle,
Okay.
be aware of, what will happen if this
Okay.
happens. I'll do this. If this happens, I'll be prepared for this.
Okay.
You can use this fear
Okay.
in positive way.
Okay. Okay. So if I understand what you're trying to say is like we have to use the fear as a positive way to keep the negative things which is going to come on our new beginning. Am I right, sir?
Yeah, because without thinking about the failure scenario, because when you're
Yeah.
when you're getting into some new thing, there is
Okay,
always a
sir.
possibility of failure, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
you have
yes.
to be prepared
Exactly.
for that failure. So that's the job of this fear here. But if you've taken care of all that to your best possible, intelligence and your knowledge, etc., even in spite of that, if fear comes, then that's an emotion. That is the natural emotion that is expected in
Okay.
this situation. You
Okay.
can
Okay.
simply ignore
Okay.
that. So only if it
Okay,
is
sir.
useful for your situation, you can use that.
Okay.
If it is not useful, then you can simply ignore.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Very, very clear explanation. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prem. I'm getting
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Senthil Edgy is there. Senthil Edgy, I'm giving an unmute. Kindly tell me where are you calling from, and if you can switch on your video, that will be nice.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. This is Senthil here from Singapore. Sorry, today I'm not able to switch on the camera because I'm doing some work actually. So I just use the audio for now. Thank you, Anand sir, actually. The explanations you gave for Mr. Sanjay's question, it was very clear to me. But I just want to expand his question further for my own understanding. So if I understood, there is nothing much we can do internally or within our thoughts that arise and disappear, but only then external action is required if there is a need. Does that understanding really called, or is that understanding called a liberation or enlightenment? Is that sufficient? Because all the while I learned actually from the past experience, enlightenment is an experience. It's something like an extraordinary experience. You know, I can see the past, present, future. That sort of understanding is what I have got. So I'd like to understand just an understanding of there's nothing much we can do internally in our thoughts. Only an external action is if an external action is required, we need to take that. And for that, we need to use our thinking. Otherwise, just let it go. Does that really qualify to be called as an enlightened being or a liberated being? As I just want to get some clarity around that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think there are a lot of such sayings and a lot of such quotes from various masters in various books, etc. So people, we just tend to confuse or interpret in our own way. Because I think, as you said, you know, this blissful feeling or some pleasant feeling, that is what is underlined in bold, and everybody's attention, our attention, you know, gets caught there only to that statement. But there will be so many other statements followed by that, and so many other things which the same masters have written, which we would have probably missed, because we always our focus or attention gets caught only to something special, something extraordinary. Usual thing, we don't consider that as special. So that's why our attention is, you know, getting, you know, it gains more attention. Why we feel that there is something that should happen. It is more of a myth only. So enlightenment is just a simple understanding. If you see that matter, liberation, as we explained, liberation. Every child, when a child is born, it is by nature a child is liberated, because a child doesn't catch hold of its emotions and thoughts. A child doesn't worry about its own emotions, right? It will not think. A child will not think about, you know, why am I worried? How should I get rid of this worry? You know, how, oh, I should have not behaved with my friend. I should not have, you know, shown my anger. I should not have behaved like this to my friend or to my mom, etc. So I'm talking about the child in the child stage, because they will not have any conditions. They will not have any rules inside. They'll be completely free. Whatever is appearing inside, they will simply express. So they'll simply be open, transparent, completely transparent. They will not catch hold of any of their emotions or thoughts. They will not be thinking after, you know, having an afterthought of, you know, why did I think like this? How did this thought come to me? How did this emotion come to me? So all those things they will not be into. So that's how a child is. That is what is the liberated state that we're talking about here. The child will be completely free, right? So only when the knowledge grows, when the child grows, all these conditions and rules come into our system. Then we say that no, now anger should not come. Now I should be peaceful. Now I should not be worried. I should not be jealous. I should not be this, that, all that. All those things come into our system. Then we start fighting with our own natural system. Then we get into all these conflicts and struggle every moment. So the problem is, this liberation is already existing within us. It is not something new that we have to attain. It is just because we are missing that whole point, because we are busy in struggling and fighting against our own system. We are continuously struggling and fighting. So 80% of energy is going here in this internal struggle. Only with 20% of the remaining energy, you are able to do your external actions, and you are able to do all this thinking, etc. So once you stop this internal fight, all this energy will be freed up. Then you will see it is not that peace comes in. It is just that the struggle goes away, and automatically peace is our natural state. It automatically sets in on its own. Mind comes to a balanced state on its own. You don't have to bring it to a balanced state. So that's how it happens. So here what we call is enlightenment is more of an understanding. This understanding that we are coming to and coming to a decision that these are not under our control and I'm not going to take any responsibility. So coming to the decision is called as enlightenment. Liberation is something which naturally occurs and which is already there today, even for you, it is already happening, but only because of you disturbing that state, all these disturbance comes in, steps in inside.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I just want to quote an example. Like I used to go with my wife to shopping mall, for example, sometime back, and I saw a beautiful lady there. Deep in my mind, actually, I wanted to look at her, and I did. But at the same time, I had another thought coming in, which said that I am married and I have 2 daughters, and why should I look at someone other than my wife? So there was some conflict. But despite that, I still proceeded to look at the other lady, and I was happy to look at her. But then later on, I shared this with my wife. This thought comes to me, though I'm married to you. Then I think this is something related to the answer that you gave. So in such a case, I just let it go. And if an external action is required, in this case, an external action was required because I wanted to satisfy myself. But other than that, if there is another thought, for example, I want to kill someone. This is a thought that comes to my mind. I should not really stop it. Just let it go. But then externally, I should not react to it. Is that correct? Is my understanding correct?
Yeah. So in terms of the thought, you don't have to do anything because it is pretty natural. That's the natural. All these are very natural thoughts and emotions that can come up in anybody. So you don't have to. You can simply ignore that by giving more importance and trying to control or trying to somehow stop these thoughts. Then you will be focusing. You are focusing your attention on that. It's like putting a lens. You're actually putting a lens and trying to see in details. Then you're giving more focus and more attention. It will only exaggerate the thing. Situation. So you can simply ignore and you can focus on what is right in the external situation. What is according to the rules and regulations, what is right. You can simply focus on that instead of trying to see what is this, whether this thought is right or wrong.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir. Very clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Shandil. We look for you. Any questions? Any discussion from our friends? Venkateshan, Nigeria, giving unmute to him.
Yeah.
Yes, Venkateshan, proceed.
Yeah, another thing was coming on my mind. This giving space. I also tell always give space to others. What it really means, giving space. If somebody is whether they are when they are interacting with me in the phone or in front of me, but whether they are unconscious or they are acting unconsciously or unconsciously, but when they are whatever situation may be. Now, I used to say that I read in one place, give space to others. What it really means, Aya?
Okay. So giving space is simply allowing others to express or allowing others to be free from their side, right? So, so why is it important? I mean, one is first of all, so of course you will expect this from others, right? If you want to express yourself, you will expect others to give you space, whether your partner or whoever, whatever relationships it is in, right? So you should also give the others treat the others the same way, right? That is obviously important. So this is required for an amicable relationship to function, right? If you don't give space, then you're trying to only boss around. You're trying to be authoritative to them, right? Which nobody will like it. If I don't give you space, then obviously you will not like it, right? If I try to compress or suppress your emotions or your feelings or whatever you want to express, so that way in the external world it will not be a comfortable situation to be in. So it is better to because it's an amicable situation. Both of us have to be, it's like a partnership, right? Both of us have to understand and give space to each other for a good relationship.
Okay, understand, Aya. The other thing was coming. Okay, when it comes, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Venkateshan. Sendil from Singapore has come back. I am giving
Okay.
unmute.
So one more question. This is actually like yesterday it happened. I was talking to my friend. We were having a discussion about a particular question. Now, while he was explaining that, of course, that's related to my impatience as well. But while he was talking, I just wanted to, enforce, or rather, I wanted to emphasize on my point of view. The thought was, always interrupting my listening, because he was saying his point of view about a particular question. And then my thought process kept on interrupting, and then I started stopping him along the way. Then I started emphasizing, no, this is what the understanding should be about that particular topic. So in this case, though I wanted to stop my thought, or rather stop my thinking and stopping him to stopping his discussion. There is an impulse and an automatic response that comes up. So how should I handle that situation? Is it not allowing the thought to flow, or is it something that I started taking the thought and started thinking and responding impulsively? I'm not just clear on that. Can you just clarify why that's happening?
Okay. So I believe you're talking about the external action of interrupting him and not giving him space, or not listening to him, not allowing him to complete his point of view or give his point of view, right?
Yes, just that the additional thing I want to mention is that there is a thought which says that I should not be doing that, but impulsively I'm just responding as I mean started disturbing him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is not a problem, because if it happens beyond your beyond your knowledge or beyond your consciously, if you're not consciously doing, that is fine. So only thing is, based on, since you have now understood, next time you can be more prepared and you can handle it in a better way. You can probably say that I'll allow him to first speak out and completely listen to him, then I'll start my point of view or give my point of view. But again, certain things, if it happens beyond your control, I mean, you can do it, you can try it the next time. There is nothing called as I was just mentioning to other participants, that there is no perfect human being, or there is nothing called a perfect situation or a perfect quality of a human being. So of course there will be some errors that we always do. So we have to come across and try and do it correctly the next time. Use that experience, where we failed the last time, and try and do that the next time. But this is only in the external action. Whatever you did it incorrectly last time, you can try and do it better in the next time, right? But it's not about thoughts and emotions at all. Whether the thought comes or not, you don't have to bother. Whether the thought about disturbing him, whether it comes or not, you don't have to bother about it. You can simply ignore. You can just decide that, okay, I will, maybe you can allow him to speak for first 10 minutes. Then you can say, then this is my turn. Then I will give my opinion. Some sort of arrangement you can make up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Venkateshan, giving unmute, Nigeria. Yes, Venkateshan,
that question came up. Actually, this for others psychological suffering, whether it is an intimate relationship or there is a long distance relationship, am I going to be responsible for their psychological suffering?
Okay. Yes, if your actions are, sometimes your actions will trigger some psychological suffering for others, right? That's possible. But here, what is under your control is, you can keep the actions in the right way. Trying to be, as we always say, as per the society rules and regulations, as per the dharma, because of how you expect not to be hurt by someone, you should also not hurt purposefully, right? Someone else. So if you keep that basic logic in mind, that you should treat others the same way as you want to be treated, I think that should be sufficient. So in spite of that, if somebody gets hurt, then you have to try to explain, and those are the only possible options, right? You have to try to explain or justify why you want to do something, justify why you did some in a certain way. Only those things are possible.
Okay, yeah, understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions coming up? Sanjay, welcome. Unmute.
Something was on chat, right? That's sorted out, right?
That is.
Okay.
Somebody wanted a book. So he got the book. He thanked, welcome, all those. Cycle has been done. Yes, Sanjay, you can proceed.
Yeah. So one thing I just yeah.
Yes.
I mean, when I read the books or video, clarity remains for some time. And then
Your voice is breaking.
Sanjay, you cut your video because there is your internet problem.
Permanent. Once it is, this understanding doesn't go away and it goes away. Why? When I read these books or go through these videos or these conversations, and that clarity is there for some time, but then after some time this clarity goes away. So if understanding is not permanent, it seems that understanding is not permanent. So what can be done about it?
Yeah. I think a good point. I think you raised a good point. So understanding goes away, it is not permanent. Yeah. So all that means is, so what we are saying here, I think I explained this in one of the previous sessions also. I think one of them has the similar kind of question. So what we are trying to say here is our intelligence is trying to control or shape up or fine tune these thoughts and emotions, our mind basically, right? So that is where the whole problem is. So what are we saying here? Here, there is no measure of, we don't have to refer to success here. Here we are referring to failure. So what is that failure we're talking about is our intelligence, instead of trying to shape up, should accept its failure. It should surrender. It should say this, yes, it should accept that, yes, I'm defeated. I'm no more able to control you. I'm no more able to fine tune you, shape up you. Trying to take you under control is not possible. That is the understanding that we have to come to, right? We are the intellect, right? We are actually thinking and trying to find the solution for this. We have to come to that conclusion. We have to get defeated here, not succeed, right? So when you're saying, even after this understanding, if something happens, which means that even after you've come to this understanding that this is natural, it is not going to stop. That nature will keep on throwing some thoughts and emotions according to the situation you are in. So what we have understood this, that is its nature. But you're again trying to say, why is this coming? Why is this understanding is not staying? Means, what do you mean by that is, these emotions and thoughts are again disturbing you. That's what you mean, right?
Not exactly. What I would
or,
say
or you are expecting
after some time I forget about it, and then need a reminder again.
Yeah, correct. So that reminder is not needed, because this is more of an understanding by our own experience. That is why I was saying in the beginning that we have to test it out. I was giving an example of ball, right? If you throw a ball, we have been always thinking that the ball should fly in the air, and there is always a conflict when it falls down. But once you yourself, if you throw a ball by your own hand, if you throw a ball and see that this is going to fall down and that is its nature, if you are able to accept that, then you don't have to remember. Next time also, you don't have to remember, right? That's an experience that you directly see it for yourself. That's why I was saying that you have to test it out and come to that understanding by your own self, and not because somebody has said. So that's why I was just saying that. So once you come to that understanding, then you will be able to give this on your own. But the point here is, even after coming to this understanding, you should not expect that things are going to be completely perfect and all emotions, thoughts, everything will be pleasant. No, that is not what you're saying, right? Thoughts and emotions can be however it can be in any ways. It can be in any form, depending on the situation, it will keep on triggering something. So we are not, what we are saying is, we are not going to be bothered anymore. We are just simply allowing everything as is. We're just giving a tick mark to everything that is happening inside. Giving an accept, we are accepting everything that is happening inside. That is this understanding. So when you're accepting, when you're saying I am accepted everything inside, then we cannot say, why is this understanding, staying or going, etc. Because that is just another thought. Whether this understanding is staying or not is another thought that you're thinking about it, right? Even that is also a thought. Forget about it. Because once you've understood that this is not under my control, it will make, however, whatever noise it makes, we don't need to be bothered. You don't need to be worried. You don't need to even keep on reminding yourself. Even that is also not required. But if it happens in spite of that, no worries. Let it be there, because that's also another thought, another form of something which is happening beyond your control. Allow that also. So whatever is happening beyond your control, beyond your limit, just allow it freely. No worries at all.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There are some questions in the chat window, is it?
Yeah, I just projected. Meanwhile, Sendil has come from Singapore.
Okay. Yeah.
Sendil, I'm giving unmute.
Sure. Thank you, sir. So Anand, sir, my continuation to your earlier explanation is that sometimes though we allow the thought to let go, but there could be some underlying feelings. For example, I have done something wrong. There is a thought about that particular wrong. Say, let's say at work I have done some wrong thing, and then as a result of there could be some repercussions. A thought comes about it, but I just let it go. But there's an underlying related feeling. For example, it could be a fear, or it could be an anger, or it could be any sort of emotion. There's an underlying emotion, despite the thought, if I allow it to flow, despite that, the underlying feeling remains there. And it is there for a while, and if I let it go as well, but it is there continuously. So how should I handle that? Should I let it go as well, or just whatever feeling that I get, just experience and leave it? I'm not just sure about that. If you could clarify that, it will be helpful.
Yeah. So again, there are two ways of looking at it. Whatever this fear or worry or whatever you get after as an afterthought after the incident has happened, one is it is driving you to look at trying to see how do I do it next, better next time. How do I rectify the situation? Suppose if there is a possibility to rectify the situation, it is driving you to think about it, right? It is only coming for your aid, your assistance, to drive you to think about how do we, if there is a possibility to rectify, or if there is a possibility to apologize to somebody, if there is a need for that, or all these possibilities, whatever is possible in that situation, it is only driving you towards that. So, but if you've taken care of all that, and if there is no scope at all to do anything further, you can just simply take it as a lesson that you can take it and do it better next time. In spite of that, these feelings may be there for some time. You can simply ignore, because let it go means, what we are saying is, we are not saying let it go means, once you let it go, it will automatically go away, is not the point. You don't have to even look at it. Let it go means you're completely stopping all responsibility, all action from your side. Then onwards, you don't have to be bothered whether it remains or goes. It is not your botheration. Just, you don't have to act at all is the point here. Is that, does that clarify? I think you're on mute.
Hello?
He's on mute.
One minute. It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. It is clear. Okay. It is clear. It's just that I think I just need to try it out and see. So just a continuation to our earlier explanation of the testing it out. Yeah. And this testing it out part is actually, can you elaborate that further? Of course, you gave an example of that ball, but in real life, how do I, on a day-to-day real life, how do I experience or test it out? And there's a question also in the chat about that. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So, so it is about trying to understand Testing is nothing but you're trying to see it in all various possibilities and trying to accept this concept, right? Because initially when you understand, maybe you would have you were able to accept only some 20% or 30%. You are thinking that it is not, you're not fully able to accept that. That is why, these questions probably are coming up. So you can try to check this for your own. See, because so this is not, you can put it this way, I can put it this way. This is not somebody else's concept or somebody else's truth. This is simply a scientific truth. If you test it out and check it out how your mind functions. Testing is just that in various situations, trying to understand how your mind functions. So trying to check whether is it functioning the same way as it is told, as it is explained as a concept or not. That is what I mean by testing it out in various situations. Tomorrow, if you get an emotion of a worry or sorrow or anger, what happens here? Is it really under your control? Are you able to try and do anything here? No. So that is what I mean as practically seeing it for yourself. If you see it for yourself that you're not able to control, then at a point after some time, because how long you can keep on trying to fight it out, at a point you will understand that, let it, I cannot do anything this anymore. I'm fed up. I cannot control this. You will come to a point and you will drop um, all your arms and ammunitions towards fighting this. That is what I'm trying to say. Is that,
Sure.
does
Thank
that clarify? No. Okay.
Yeah. I asked this question to Aya as well the other day.
Okay.
He mentioned that, just even if that comes, just let it, flow. Then after a while, it get used to it. So I just need to try it out and see.
Yeah. Basically, you just have to test it out for your own self. That is what I mean. Instead of just simply accepting what I said or what Aya says, you have to accept this insight. That's the only point. Or I think Aya also calls it as a confirmation, right? Once you've understood, you have to also accept that you have understood. Then you should stop doing anything else about that.
Yeah, sure. I have not gone through the course essentially, so I just went through
Okay. Then I
books
will
by Aya.
seriously suggest reading those books again and again for some more time, because you have to just look at it from various angles, various possibilities. Once you're completely convinced, now then you will obviously drop all your efforts.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your help. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm giving a mute. There is a question which has come. Okay, I'll go there. It is there. Project. Yes.
Yeah.
It is on the right. Can we act without prejudice at all in relationship? That is the question.
Yeah. Okay.
But see, here we have put your photo here on the left side. Will it be better with the beard like now? I wanted to ask that question. If it is so, then you send a photo. Because there one Jnani is sitting there. Here also one Jnani with the beard.
Okay. Actually, Saravanan was looking for a different photo he asked. So, we can't click this in the Zoom itself, is it? In the same session, we can't make this as a photograph.
That will not be looking good. No?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you can carry on. I have this.
Okay. Okay. So prejudice. So what is prejudice that we refer to as having a conditioned or having a pre-conclusive approach, right? Suppose thinking that last time I had a very bad experience with this friend, so I assume that this time also I'm going to have a bad experience, so I will not even speak to him, or I will not allow to express him freely, or whatever it is. So that is what we call as prejudice, right? And can we act without prejudice? Yes, possible. But we don't have to again keep that as a target or something, because again, prejudice is another form of thought. If it happens beyond your control, we can try, because we can understand and try to justify and say that maybe last time he has acted in that way, but maybe we can try to understand or even ask him directly if there was a problem last time, and then we can try to correct it or try to settle the matter in an amicable way. But in spite of that, that is one approach in the external action, which is possible or not possible, however it is. In spite of that, whether the action is possible or if there is a scope or not, in spite of that, this prejudice may still come up again also. So that is not a problem. It's just another thought. You can simply ignore and act in a knowledgeable, intellectually correct way in the external action. That's how I would suggest.
Anybody want to raise the question? Answer it sharply, please.
There was only one question in the chat, right?
No. I just wanted to tell people, during English program, suppose you want to send the questions in advance, either from you or from your friends or anybody. They say for some reason they cannot attend the program, they cannot discuss it over here. They can still send it by our WhatsApp group. We will project it here like what we have projected, and it will be answered. So that opportunity also, I request you to take, make use of. Yeah, you were telling something, please.
No, I was saying there was only one question in the chat window, right?
Yeah. There is only one. I think you are couple of sitting, all have become Jnanis.
Yeah, we are dealing with all Jnanis now.
Good. Sendel Singapore, great. Unmute.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. Since no one is asking a question, I thought of asking a question which is related to performing good deeds and the resulting benefits. For example, there was someone was talking to me today. They said that you perform annadanam, the donation for food actually. If you do annadanam for people, that will bring in good deeds and that will help your next generation and so on. I mean, donation and other things that definitely it's good for human beings and good for humanity. I have no doubt on that. But my question is that these are the claims that we often make, including me. We often make is that by doing these good deeds, there will be benefit or blessings from the supreme beings, and my next generation will benefit, and so on. These are things that I have not seen or experienced myself. So the benefits are not something that I'm not really very clear. Are there something like that? Of course, this is not related to our understanding. I just want to understand that the deeds that I do, which should benefit me as well as the society that I am within, I'm clear about that. But the resultant benefits by doing so is what I am not clear about. For example, my future generation. Do you have any idea about that, or it's not required at all? I don't need to really know about it. Just do my work.
Yeah, okay. Two things here. When you are asking for the benefit, I'm sure you're not doing that action with that motive. I assume that, because motive is also important. Intention of doing that activity is important, more important, right? Because if you're doing an activity with a motive that you will get pride, or you will have some position or power, etc., then if that is the intention, then it will not be actually considered a good deed, right? Though you're physically doing that activity, if the intention is bad, then it will not be considered a good deed. As per the law of karma, I'm just assuming that you believe in karma. So there is a karma theory, which as per that, so again, karma is just a theory. I mean, there is no scientific proof, or nobody can prove whether it is existing or not. So this is just one of the theories that if you do good deeds, then it'll create some better effects in your future endeavors, in your future things that you are into, future actions or activities that you're into. It's just a belief, or you can say a logical theory. That's all. There is no proof about that. But as you said, yeah, generally in a society, if you're doing good, then you're helping others. That's a good thing. So you don't need to worry about whether it is whether it's going to be beneficial or not. But if you believe in karma, you can probably believe that those good deeds will also do favor to you in your upcoming activities.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. So it is 1.5 hours now. Nice,
Yeah.
very useful time. Some more question is there, you can ask. Or we have to wait for a week. Good opportunity. You want to say something, anything? Is there this week? Anandji?
No, sir. I think we have anyway spent a lot of time. So
Okay,
maybe
okay, fine.
we can
You know,
discuss
if you have already reserved something to communicate,
Sure.
that we could have taken. Otherwise, we will wait for a few seconds and then see, since nobody is
Sure.
coming up. Fine, then we will close it. 1 minute, there is some chat point is there. Whether any question is there, oh great. So he has already thanked.
So we can stop the recording and then we can.
Yeah, I will, no, I have got one spot. Okay, I thank Anandji on behalf of all for the nice service they have done. We expect that every week he will be available with us to resolve our issues. Thank you so much. Anand. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I will stop.